Wade said that there's no public hearing on (17) through 20. So we can discuss them all at once and then vote on them separately. So for this person who wants to speak on each item, he can speak one. It's going to say this. He can speak one. So that's 4. Well, 10 is different. You can just speak to all items at once because we're going to discuss them all at once. You can talk about 10, 11 at the same time. Yeah. Here. Good evening, everyone. The time is 7 p.m. I'll call to order our September 27th Town Council meeting. We do have all remaining 5 council members present for a quorum. I'd like to invite Pastor Joe Keeley from the Barra Church for invocation, please.
All right, let's pray. God, thanks for this council, this team, our friends and people that will serve and lead us well. Bless them, bless their families, bless our first responders, those in the medical community, just a lot of people that give a lot, and would you give a lot to them. Pray for peace. Pray for peace to be something that we fight for. We build bridges and not just take sides, and pray for protection. And most of all, guys, pray for love, that we would love people well, love our fellow residents, just our town and our country and our world well. And thank you that you love us well. Through Jesus I pray. Amen.
And thank you. Councilman Martin will lead us in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
On to announcements and reports. Town Manager Carroll.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have 2 announcements for tonight. On October the 9th from 9 to 2 p.m., the Trophy Club's Women's Club has a special event here in town where they are going to have their garage sale, their annual garage sale. Permits are available at Tom Thumb for $20. All those proceeds from the permits go to the Trophy Club's Women's Club, who uses it for scholarships for children. So this is a special event that comes to town every year, right? And they go through the special events process. Twice a year, that's right, I'm sorry. Where they go through the special event process, and through that process they get approved for a town permit, and then they're allowed to go out and perform their duties as far as putting this town event together, or the special event together.
So I just want to clarify something you said, because this comes up twice a year during this event. So their event is a special event that they get permitted for, correct?
That's correct.
So it's no different than an organization like our Campaign for Kindness getting a permit for their special fun run event and then charging an entrance fee, that if someone wants to participate, they pay the entrance fee, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you'd like to participate in this special event put on by the Trophy Club Women's Club on October 9th, please make sure you buy your permit so you can participate. Just like you wouldn't crash a fun run without paying your entry fee, you really shouldn't crash the yard sale without buying a permit that goes to charity. They are sharing the permit by offering it to our residents at a $20 donation. It's tax deductible. It all goes towards charity. I think this sponsors our senior scholarships. This organization is the largest collector of donations for charity in our community, mostly going to women and children. They give tens of thousands of dollars every year, and this is their biggest event, I believe, or close to it after the art festival was so successful this year. So I encourage you all to participate and buy your $20 permit, because just like you can't go and host a fun run on your own without a permit, you can't have a yard sale without a permit, because that's per ordinance. So they are perfectly in their right to ask you to buy your permit and participate. So if they ask you that, please don't be ugly to them, because we've had several instances in the past years where they're doing their job, they're out in their golf carts, they're volunteering, taking their time, and they'll ask, hey, I see you're having a sale, would you like to participate and buy a permit? And they're met with some unkind words and raised voices, and it's just not very nice. And they're in their right to ask for that. So it's a great event. I know traffic gets a little crazy, but for the most part, the majority of everyone loves it. You know, clean out your attic, your closets, your garages. It's for a good cause, and we would love everyone to participate. So I hope you do, and thank you for your donations. That's going to charity, and I hope that this year, now that everyone kind of knows what the special event is and how the permitting works, that there won't be any hostility. Great word. I was trying to be nice, but yeah, it has been hostile. And so I felt like I wanted to say something this year, because I witnessed firsthand some hostility last year. And it didn't make me feel very good as a resident, or, you know, as your mayor. So I would ask everyone to be kind. And if you don't want to participate, don't. You don't have to. But if you do, please buy your permit. We appreciate it.
And it's for a great cause.
It is. It
right?
is.
All goes for scholarships for Byron Nelson High School. So that's wonderful. The next announcement is for National Night Out. National Night Out is Tuesday, October the 5th, and that's a great evening to get out of the house. The whole premise behind National Night Out is that citizens partake in the safety of their community. And what a better way to do that than get involved with your community, get involved with your HOA, get to know your neighbors a little bit. So there's generally block parties and HOA parties all throughout town. And so the fire department and the police department will visit some of those. If you will call and get with Officer Shireen Contreras up here at the police department, then we'll get you on a list, and we'll make sure that the police department and fire department come by for a visit as well during that event. But it's a great night. It's a great opportunity for you to get out and get to know your neighbors and just spend some little time out there and know who belongs and who doesn't in this great city of Trophy Club. Right?
Super fun, a lot of block parties going on, and usually, you know, everyone's welcome to all of them, and I love seeing our fire department and our police department riding around with their trucks and taking pictures with the kids and engaging with the community, and it's really good, you know, it's great to get to know these guys and gals, and also your neighbors, and like Wade said, you know, who belongs, who doesn't, and maybe you'll see some old friends and meet some new ones. We've had a lot of newcomers lately moving in, so it'll be a nice time to meet your neighbors and welcome them to Trophy Club. So I hope you all get out and meet your neighbors on October 5th.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Now we have our business spotlight. Do we have Chef Iro here yet?
He's on his way. He is actually
Stuck in the kitchen?
Yeah,
Okay.
stuck in the kitchen, and he said he's bringing a pizza for y'all.
Oh, well, we'll definitely wait then. Okay, well, just let me know when he gets here, and we will talk about pasta. But we will move on to our proclamations. Speaking of National Night Out, we'll start with that one on item 4. A proclamation of the Trophy Club Town Council supporting October 5th, 2021 as National Night Out in Trophy Club. Whereas National Night began in 1984 with 2.5 million Americans taking part, and in 2021, the 38th Annual National Night Out has brought more than 38 million neighbors in approximately 17,000 communities from all 50 states, U.S. territories, and military bases. And whereas the Town of Trophy Club Police Department is currently taking registration from Trophy Club HOAs to promote a National Night Out to maintain our safe community status, and whereas this year marks the 38th Annual National Night Out, providing the opportunity to join forces with many other communities across the country and worldwide in promoting cooperative, community-building efforts for a more caring community. And whereas the Town of Trophy Club Police and Fire Departments play vital roles in assisting law enforcement agencies and first responders with efforts which are reciprocated, and whereas community policing, neighborhood partnerships, and interagency cooperation are important themes to promote, and whereas this year the Town of Trophy Club was named the safest city in Texas by SafeWise, and that accomplishment is credited to the assistance of our community community building efforts and support of our police and fire departments. Now therefore, I, Mayor Alicia L. Fleury, in conjunction with the Trophy Club Town Council, do hereby proclaim October 5th, 2021 as National Night Out. I move to approve the proclamation as read.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Monger. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's unanimous. And I would like to invite Chief Arata up to accept this. And Chief Taylor's here too. Why don't you come on up too?
Yeah.
Because I know both of y'all are going to be riding around. Saying hi to everybody. You thought you could get out of it? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking care of us.
Absolutely. Glad to do it.
See y'all. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, item 5. Proclamation of the Trophy Club Town Council supporting October 2021 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Trophy Club. Whereas breast cancer is the most common cancer among women in the United States, accounting for 30% of newly diagnosed cancers. And whereas in 2021, about 281,550 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women, with 2,650 cases will be diagnosed in men. Every 2 minutes, one case of breast cancer is diagnosed in a woman in the United States. Whereas mammography, or an X-ray of the breast, is recognized as the single most effective method of detecting breast changes long before physical symptoms can be seen or felt, early detection and improved treatment has significantly reduced the number of deaths caused by breast cancer. And whereas researchers, scientists, and numerous nonprofit organizations are dedicated to discovering the cure for breast cancer, during the month of October, we acknowledge the extraordinary commitment and effort invested in this cause. And whereas recognizing that over 3.5 million Americans are breast cancer survivors gives us hope as we extend a deep respect for survivors and advocates for prevention and a cure. Now therefore, I, Mayor Alicia L. Fleury, in conjunction with the Trophy Club Town Council, do hereby proclaim, tongue twister, October 2021 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I move to approve the proclamation as read.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Sheridan. All in favor? Any opposed? It's unanimous. It carries. So remember, get your yearly mammograms, do your self-checks. Those are important too. Early detection is key. I'd like to say a little something about our 2019 recipient, Miss Sarah Hemp. She is local here, and she founded a group on Facebook, The Pink Life, because we didn't have very many support groups in her in our local community, and that was pretty successful. And then COVID happened, so they couldn't get together as much. And she's now taken a position with Cancer Strong Her, Strong HER. And all of those Pink Life members are invited to take advantage of the of what's offered through Cancer Strong Her organization. So it's cancerstrongher.org for everyone to find online for additional support through that group. And on October 2nd, our locally owned, our Trophy Club residents owned Shannon Brewery, they are hosting a Brews and Blues for Boobs fundraiser. And that is October 2nd, so maybe before, after Pet Fest, October 2nd, head out to Shannon Brewery for a good cause. And I would also like to invite Ms. Sharon David to the podium. Sharon is our Assistant Town Governance Officer, and she is a 3-year breast cancer survivor. So we're going to have her accept this proclamation tonight on behalf of our Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Okay, on to our consent agenda. see, we're going to highlight item 7, just to announce that our current meeting of November 8th will be rescheduled for Thursday, November 11th at 7 p.m. in conjunction with the canvass of our special election. And would anyone else like to highlight any of the consent items?
Mayor, I'm trying to punch it. It's
Oh, it
My-
still
my-
says Councilman Wilson.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
You want to speak first?
Mayor, I'd like to ask that items number 10 and number 11 be
You're
moved
first.
to the individual items and discussed during the with the other preliminary plats.
Okay, so Greg Lamont, yours is saying Greg Wilson right now?
Okay, that's fine.
You want to wait?
He mentioned it, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, and go ahead, Dennis.
All right, so I'll make a motion, since you're pulling 10 and 11?
10, 11.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda items 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, and 14.
Second.
Okay, by motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilman Monger. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Those items are passed. Okay, and that was. My iPad's on.
You won't go away.
No. You might just have to do the old-fashioned way and raise your hand and yell my name out, so I'll see you, because my iPad's kind of stuck on.
There you go.
Oh, there you go, maybe that'll
Yeah,
work.
I got it.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we will go on to item 10. Dennis, did you
No,
want
it's
to?
15.
Oh, I was going to ask that
No,
10
he
and
wanted
11
to
be
put the other
discussed with
He wants to put it-
the other items, the other preliminary
Oh,
plats,
put them down with, okay,
which would
we'll
be
move those down, okay.
After 7.
18, 19, and 20.
After 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to 15 then. To individual items, and we'll move those down. Gotcha. Okay, item 15, conduct a public hearing to consider proposed annual service and assessments to be levied against the assessable property within the Town of Trophy Club Public Improvement District Number 1, or the PID, the Highlands at Trophy Club, pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code as amended. Do we have anyone speaking to item 15? I do not. And that public hearing was open at, 7:16. And now it's closed at 7:17. Right? And then item 16, take appropriate action to approve ordinance 2021-19 for the adoption of the tax rate for Public Improvement District Number 1. Mayor Pro Tem Lamont.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-19 for the adoption of the tax rate for Public Improvement District Number 1, the Highlands of Trophy Club.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilman Monger. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's unanimous, motion carries. Okay, now we're at 17, which is going to be 10, 11, and 17. Is that what we're doing?
17A and B.
It is.
But that's coming.
Okay, so do 17 first and then 10, 11, 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, item number 17. Conduct a public hearing regarding a request to rezone approximately 8.88 acres from R15 single-family residential district to a PD planned district to construct 27 detached single-family residential lots located at 2304 and 2344 Trophy Park Drive. The time is 7:18 and the public hearing is open. And I do have speakers for item 18. No, it's 18, not 17.
That's 17B.
I know, but I'm trying to find my slip.
Mayor
I don't
Fleury,
think I
would
have
you like
it.
to hear from staff on the item prior to?
Yes, we'll do
open hearing?
that, and then we have one person signed up to speak on that.
Just Adam that signed up.
Just one.
So, go ahead, David.
Evening, Mayor, members of council. I just have a brief presentation, and then believe the applicant would also like to present a few slides. This is a rezoning request for a little less than 9 acres south of Trophy Park Drive, known as the Trails. It's a proposed planned development to construct 27 detached single-family lots. Net density is approximately 3.15 dwelling units per acre. The current zoning is R15, which requires a minimum 15,000 square foot lots. The applicant is proposing to reduce that down to an average of 10,900 square feet. On the screen is the fencing and screening plan proposed by the applicant. So in the red is a masonry wall along Trophy Park Drive. Applicant is requesting a 6-foot wall rather than the required 7-foot wall to match the walls on either side at Abbey Moore and Churchill Downs. There is an existing cell tower, the southeast corner of the site. So the access drive that exists currently would be preserved, and the cell tower would remain on the property, screened from the residents by a masonry wall. On either side would be a cedar board-on-board fence, and then to the south along the core property would be a tubular steel or wrought iron fence. This is a chart that compares the proposed PD to some of the surrounding developments, including the existing R15 zoning. Those who were on council last year may recall that this property was proposed for a rezoning last year as well. So we've also included a comparison with the proposed zoning from last year. So I'll just focus on the two in teal. The current proposal before you would have a minimum lot size of 9,600 square feet. The applicant is proposing that be restricted to a certain number of lots. The overall average would be 10,900 square feet. Minimum lot width would be 80 feet. That's similar to Churchill Downs to the east and larger than Abbey Moore and the Highlands, which are adjacent to the site. Minimum lot depth would be 120 feet. As I mentioned, density would be 3.15 dwelling units per acre. The minimum house size, 2,600 square feet for a 1-story, 3,000 square feet for a 2-story. Again, the applicant is proposing to limit that so that only a certain number of homes are under 3,000 square feet. The minimum front setback is 20 feet, minimum garage setback 20 feet, maximum lot coverage 65%. So this is a summary of changes from what the Planning and Zoning Commission saw a couple weeks ago. The average lot size was changed from 10,000 square feet to 10,900. There is a list of architectural features that's included in the staff report, kind of a menu-based approach to the facade design of the home. At P&Z, the applicant was proposing to require 3 features be chosen at minimum for each home. The applicant has since upped that to a minimum of 5 features. Required accent materials, the applicant added stone to the list of required accent materials. Some changes to the windows to make full-length shutters a little bit more prominent, put it on the front facade. Previously, that language was a little bit more permissive. And then finally, if the applicant or if the home builder chooses decorative banding or molding to go across the front elevation, there's a little bit stronger language as to how that's supposed to look and where it's supposed to be. So we've had several residents contact staff with regard to this request, and the applicant can speak a little bit more in terms of the community outreach that was done. But some of the residents who have contacted us have stated opposition to the request. Some have stated that they're in favor. From staff's point of view, due to the increase in density that's proposed this development above the base R15, almost 50% increase, staff is not recommending approval of this request due to the increase in density. The Planning and Zoning Commission as well made a motion to recommend denial that was upheld 4-2. That concludes my comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions before I turn it over to the applicant.
Yeah, I got one. You're putting up a parallel fence. Is this a public hearing? I thought we were out of that.
This is public hearing.
Yes,
Oh,
this is
I
a public
apologize.
hearing, so.
Because you asked for questions. I apologize.
Mayor, would you like the applicant to speak now
yeah.
or after the public has an option?
Let's see, let me see, I don't think anyone signed up for,
Oh, if it does it afterwards, we can ask them questions.
yeah, but public hearings and people.
I don't think it's big about.
I don't think anyone else has signed up to speak.
It's just
for
the
this
applicant,
item.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can close the public hearing and then have the, okay. For item 15, public hearing is closed at 7:25. Item number 16, take appropriate action to approve ordinance 2021-19. And now we can have Mr. Jones speak. All right,
Actually,
no,
Adam, come forward.
or
please.
Adam, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
My notes say, oh, you just, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Adam Buchek. I'm with the Scoreboard Company, 8214 Westchester Drive, Suite 900, Dallas 75225 is our office address. And thank you for your time. I know time's of the essence. I do have a presentation. I don't know if you watched the P&Z meeting or not, but I'm going to flip through a lot of these slides and not stop on them for the interest of time. If you want me to slow down or go back, I'll be happy to. Come before you needing obviously a little bit of a mountain to climb. You know, we need a 3/4 vote of support for approval tonight. But we do believe that this is a meritorious request because of the qualitative aspects of this case and land use principles. We will see if you agree. My opinion doesn't matter. I'm just going to show you the facts, and hopefully you have at least 3/4 of you to agree. That being said, I'll give you a little quick background on ourselves, our company. We're not going to spend much time on the subject property location because staff's already covered it. The zoning request itself, architectural requirements of this PD, Churchill Downs product, that's been the main point of neighbor concern on that side. We've had very healthy dialogue with the other sides of our project. It's been really focused with Churchill Downs. Everyone obviously has been involved. And then Drees Custom Homes is our builder. If we're so get the opportunity to build this project, a well-known, privately held national builder, almost a century-year-old. And then we'll recap. Real quick, our company's been in business for over 35 years, all Dallas-Fort Worth based. We're local in DFW, about 30 cities throughout DFW. We have about 25 active projects, and we're very well known for doing high-quality projects, everything from infill to large master plans. I have a few testimonial letters from highly reputable, highly accomplished individuals. Current mayor of Rockwall, Kevin Fowler. We've been doing business and had the privilege of Rockwall for about 15 years. The former mayor, Jim Pruitt of Rockwall, termed up in May of last year, and he's the immediate past president of the Texas Municipal League, Region 13. And then Mr. David Cook, current Texas House of Representatives, who served 12 years as the Mansfield mayor. And the only reason I say this is because you don't know me, you don't know our company, but I just want to let you know we have earned over a long period of time some very good reputation, and we take pride in the communities that we are, we serve in the communities, we give back to the communities that we have an opportunity to be in. We've never had the privilege and opportunity of Trophy Club. There's not very many opportunities left. The Colemans and the Welshes are the two property owners of this property. They own about half each. The Colemans family has had their parcel since the 60s. This is the 1958 era. The Welshes have had theirs since 2007, that's when Churchill Downs started to come on board. Fast forward to 2019, and basically the Coleman and Welsh property was surrounded by, at that time, with Abbey Moore and the Highlands building around it. There's the property outlined in red along Trophy Park Drive. And you can see on this slide to the north, we have the 70-foot lots in the Highlands with an 1,800 square foot minimum, 8,400 lot size. Abbey Moore, 50-foot lot minimum, 5,250 square foot on our west with an 1,800 square foot minimum. And Churchill Downs with the R10 base district with a 3,000 square foot minimum. with an 80-foot lot width. And effectively what we're doing here is, while this is a transitional piece, we're basically matching the Churchill downside, the largest lot size of all three sides is what we're doing, but we're taking it up a notch or 2 or 3 on the architectural side from what's in that PD. The comprehensive plan is, it just really doesn't really provide much of a map because it earmarked it as parks and open space as well as the east and west side properties. The zoning map shows it is R15 right now, with the surrounding properties being PDs. Our proposed district is a 10,900 square foot average. A little bit of history. The Highlands was rezoned in November of '07, with Pulte being the builder on those homes on the north side. Abbey Moore was rezoned in 2009 with the 50-foot lots, and Lennar was the builder there. Churchill Downs was rezoned in 2008 and that was built by 9 different custom builders and 12 lots. About a third of the 35 lots was built by K. Hovnanian. Our builder, Breeze Custom Homes, would be, if we have the opportunity, would be our builder here. I'm not going to spend much time on the old plan, but if you want to go back to it, we had initially planned a year ago to have our building company, Windsor Homes, do a patio home building that was similar to Abbey Moore, a little bit larger lot in home size for sure, but it wasn't well received. And so we took that feedback to heart. We went back to the drawing board, scrapped that, and basically by January, we were hoping to be able to resubmit, but we were advised that with town's preference was what we waited for a full year. So we did do that and out of full respect of that request. This new plan now is, again, a 9,600 square foot minimum, but the average is 10,900, so almost an 11,000 square foot size. 6 of our lots are between 12,400 and 16,700 square feet. So we have a very, much more towards the Churchill downside than anything else in the area. Our projected price points will be starting in the mid-7s, and we have a robust detail of architectural features. As staff pointed out, there is a cell tower. It's an easement. It's 20-foot wide. That lease doesn't expire until 2090, so we kind of have a little bit of a hardship there. And if I had that 20 feet and I could give 5 feet to each tier of lots, I'd have a full 10,000 square feet on every lot on my depth. But I have that 20-foot constraint that's not going to go away anytime soon. We looked at this as R15. We've looked at it every which way, and there's under R15, the front setbacks and the rear setbacks are such that with this site constraint, I'd have a 65-foot deep pad, which creates a very shallow product, boxy, wide and shallow, and it's not a product that's particularly embraced by the consumer for higher price points. That's what we found, and we've tried and looked for builders with that, and we've not been able to get anything close to the value proposition that we could get with this zoning case. RPD with these setbacks gives us a 75 to 80-foot deep pad. This is showing you the pad map under R15, and it yields 18 lots. The one thing with the R15 is just straight zoning. With RPD, the beauty of a PD is you get to voluntarily give and take and work with the city, and we're voluntarily waiving and granting architectural control to this town. With straight zoning, that would not be the case. We can't make it work with straight zoning, but I would just say that there is that risk out there with an R15 with straight zoning that it could have a box-like product that the town wouldn't have the control over, as you would see with our project. The 27 lots, again, we do have a 3.1 density. The minimum house size of 2,600 is only up to 5 lots, by the way, and none of those homes could be against Churchill Downs. They'd have to be interior up against Abbey Moore. That's for some one-story plans that Trees would like to offer. If that's a problem for the council, we could happily scrap that and just make it 3,000 square feet. But they do have a couple of very popular one-story plans, high price per square foot, that if they could do up to 5, they would like it. But I just wanted to throw that out there for you, is we would not put any of those. This is restricted in the PD, not against Churchill Downs. So the Churchill Downs would match 3,000 across the board. The other thing I'd like to point out on the front setback, if a flat front entry facing the street is the garage configuration, it increases the front setback to 25 feet, so that a long extra cab truck would be able to park in front of the house, the garage, without protruding into the sidewalk. This is really kind of a repetitive information. This is a table comparing, which staff just showed you as well. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because we've really covered it. We have some Abbey Moore commitments that we've been involved with day one, and then we're keeping those promises to those folks. They include burying the overhead power line on the common border above their backyards, and we're constructing a brand-new cedar board-on-board wood fence in conjunction with the development and a single construction as well. This was the list. I'm not going to go through all of it, but the architectural enhancements, a minimum of 5 must be incorporated into every house. These are expensive features that go above and beyond any of the PDs in the surrounding area. This is our screening slide. Staff already showed it to you. We can come back to it if you want to see it again, but in the interest of time, I'm going to go on to the next. I would like to point out that subject to the council's approval, my landowners give me approval, but it matters what the town would approve. We'd be happy to replace the existing chain link gate and do a nice board-on-board features. Kind of this would be the inside of it, so it would look nicer from the street as well with the development if the council would approve it. This is the Churchill Downs concept plan, or plat rather. So you can see it's really just a street either way with a cul-de-sac on either end. These are the pictures of the Churchill Downs products. These are nice homes, good quality homes. These are 2 comps, and I'd like to point out 2 from June to August of 2021. Churchill Downs sales averaged $194 a foot. And there's a pending sale as of September 10th of $183 a foot. This is the history of Churchill Downs and the builders of it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but the good news is it basically just tells a story that the PD helped the project go through the ebbs and flows of the real estate cycle and still ended up having a good project when the smoke cleared. I want to focus really on Dries, who's our builder, if we can get this opportunity to do this. And they built since before 2008 in Trophy Club. They've been in the Highlands, Water's Edge at Hogan's Glen, and Villas at Hogan's Glen. They've been building since 2011 behind the gate, as we say, in that one of the toniest areas of Trophy Club in Hogan's Glen. This is a list of about 28 total sales that they've had in Hogan's Glen that average over $221 a foot. And these are heavily weighted on 2018 and 2019 prices. They're much higher than that, as everybody knows today. So I wanted to show this as a comp in contrast to the Churchill Downs comps, which were within 90 days of now. You got about 183 to 194 a foot. They have 8 plans, Dries that is, for this proposed project so far that they've already identified if they got the privilege to do this with us. And again, we've been selling them lots for over 20 years, so we're good partners and we work well with our cities together. But the average is $241 a foot plus options. And so we have a very high quality builder here putting forth a big commitment to do a great job for the town. This is the representative product, beautiful homes. They're not far away if you want to go see their product. And you can see that their lowest price per foot of any plan is the Oakley 2, and it's at $204.53, and that's higher than any of the comps in the Churchill Downs community. So this is a win for all the homeowners, because they want to refinance their home. They have extra equity in their home. This is good for everybody. Just to recap, we're a reputable builder. We hope that the testimonial lenders will help support that. Dries is a high-quality, family-owned story builder, top-quality builder that's committed to building at price points about 30% higher than Churchill Downs. All the surrounding land was previously zoned from R12 to R15 or R15 to PDs with lots smaller than or equal to what we're proposing here. Our PD has more custom architectural features than any of the surrounding PDs, including Churchill Downs. Under number 5, again, going back to the R15, there's a potential for not having the control that you would have with this proposal, which I think we can lock in if we can embrace a locked-in guarantee of what we know we're going to get with this PD. And then lastly, I would just say, I'm beseeching council. I've never seen a situation where we would have to try to sell 15,000 square foot lots against 50-foot lots. I mean, this is really a transitional piece, and from a land planning perspective, it really doesn't make sense. I didn't understand why we would have 15,000 square foot lots when you have 50-foot lots on one side of the property, 70-foot lots on the north, and 10,000 or 80-foot lots on this other side. So I just think that this seems there's either something political going on, which I, with all due respect, know that I am not entitled to any explanation, and I accept whatever, happily accept whatever. I hope we have this chance, but humbly, I ask your approval, because it just doesn't seem to make sense from a land principle standpoint to have an R15, straight, that's the way it is type of approach. And we hope that when we came back with this second proposal, taking into account all the neighbors, going about it the right way, listening to the council from last year, waiting the full year. We just hope that the council will take all this into consideration, because I think we would do a great job for you.
I'm sorry, did I just hear you say you don't know if there's something political going on? Is that what you just said?
No, I'm just
Care to
saying.
explain that statement, please?
Yeah, I'm just saying, from a land use planning perspective, I don't know why we would have an R15 zoning district against 50-foot lots, 70-foot lots, and 80-foot lots, because it just seems to kind of,
I'm asking you to explain the comment you made about something political happening.
what I'm saying is, from a logical land use zoning perspective, I can't understand why the Planning and Zoning Commission was not in favor of this request. And so but I know that when it comes to zoning, the council or a town does not owe any explanation with respect to why it would approve or deny zoning. And I'm just acknowledging that. And all I'm saying, so if there's some other dynamic going on that prohibits or precludes this opportunity from being approved, I accept it. I don't know why, from a land use perspective, why this zoning request would not be fully embraced given the facts of the case. That's all I'm saying, Mayor, is it's just, I didn't get much feedback from here's what the commission said. The commission said this was about density. And I'm like, if this is about density, we're talking about 9 lots and Trophy Club's built out. If it's 9 lots is not going to make or break the town's tax base. It's not going to make or break the traffic count, the traffic wait times. And so I could not understand why this is about density. I did get 2 commissioners that said straight up that you've established the value. And in fact, we've had a couple of homeowners in Churchill Downs after the presentation come to me and say, I didn't realize that your price per foot was that high. And they actually said that they changed and reconsidering their position. So all I'm saying is, if there's no answer to be given, then I accept it. I'm humbly asking for your support. From a logical standpoint, we've come a long way, and we really put a great foot forward here with my property owners and my builder.
Okay, thank you.
That's all.
Mayor Pro Tem Lamont.
I got 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Have we resolved the situations in front of the park? Because in our ordinance, they don't allow parallel fencing within a certain feet. Are we meeting that requirement?
Yes, sir. There's a 20-foot requirement in the town's ordinance between fences. And so there's the existing 6-foot masonry wall along Churchill Downs that will remain. And we have contemplated the 20-foot offset to comply with that ordinance for our wood fence on the east side.
Okay, just checking to make sure. The other thing is, there's no guarantee or requirement that Dries builds these homes. Not by the town, not by you, and even by Dries. So you could actually come in at the end and build them yourself, correct?
I give you my promise that I will not. It will be Dries, if on the record, that Dries is committed wholeheartedly to this project if it's approved by the council tonight. And they have a vested interest in the town ongoing right now, so I don't think they would, I've been doing business with them for over 20-something years. They're in if we were given the privilege by the council to move forward with this project. And I'd be more than happy to put that in the PD if it's even legal. I mean, I'm happy to do it. Restricted to Dries Custom Homes. I mean,
But that, we can't require that, can we?
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not a,
No, that's fine. I just want to clarify that in the end, but we've had a history in our town of builders changing at the last 11.
yes, sir. But I give you my word, and it will not be Windsor Homes.
Councilman Sheridan.
Yeah, I have 5 comments. Okay. 1, cemented siding, as far as being included as part of the percentage of masonry, I totally don't like that. That's siding,
We could
not
strike that.
masonry.
We were working with staff, but if that pleases the council, I
No,
can strike
I
it.
understand. I'm just,
I'm sorry.
yes, sir, I'm talking, Adam, I'm talking to you, but also I know that's a staff thing, and that's also one of the things that I don't like, but that's all right. I understand why it's there. 2, the 20-foot access. I was going to ask if there's any other way to provide tower access and do away with that 20 feet. But did I understand you to say that 20 feet is actually inside the lease?
There's a recorded instrument for it.
That calls that, so that, am I correct in saying that limits what you can do with that 20 feet?
That's correct. In terms, I can't build anything. I
No,
can't
I
buy it.
understand. So, well, I was trying to figure out some other way to do it.
Yes, sir.
And get that square footage into the lots.
The fire chief also suggested we had 2 points of access, and so you'll see on our plat, there's a 20-foot strip, but we provided an additional
If
access
it
point
does
ever
come
needed.
up in your platting, that you can get rid of it in some form or fashion and satisfy the lease and also work with the fire department, I'd love it. That would help increase your size of lots. I'm not a fan of the opposing streets where you're 110 feet from another opposite street. I think that's kind of close, but that's also my opinion. I understand that there's a engineering standard that would meet. You have a lack of open space, but that's totally logical because you're so close to all the parks.
And we're paying all the fees.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
but I mean, you've got, lots of acres of parks right there with you. Can I ask what the reasons for voting yes by the two P&Z commissioners that voted yes? Can you tell us why they voted yes? Did they say it?
You have the chairman. Yeah.
We do have our chairman from P&Z here, Mr. Rowe.
Yeah.
Would you like to come up, please? Thank you, sir.
Okay, and those are my questions. Thank you, Adam.
Put the Cowboys-Eagles game in my pocket for a minute.
What's the
address.
score?
Go ahead.
7-7 in the 7-7 in the first quarter, and we have a score under review right now. No, but to be serious, Ryland Rowe, 404 Skyline Drive. I am the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. To answer your question, Mr. Lamont, there was a motion at the end, near the end of the meeting, where one of the commissioners who had previously asked Skorberg a question on density, because obviously density was a big topic at the meeting, right? About if they had considered 22 lots instead of the current number, 27, I guess is what it is. And the representative then said, well, maybe that's something we can work on. And so in response to that, one of the commissioners made a motion to table the item for future consideration. That motion failed, I believe, 4-2. And then the subsequent motion to deny the request succeeded 4-2. So I don't know if you'd characterize that as necessarily a vote in favor of this proposal, since it was in response to a vote to table for future potential changes, but that is how the vote went, and that's basically the debate that surrounded that. So
Thank you, Ryland.
anything else?
No,
No?
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
that's it. That's it for me, Mayor.
Second. Councilman Schaffner.
Yeah, actually, it was Carl and I were the only two that were here last year. And here's exactly what I said last year from the minutes. Councilman Schaffner, I sound like Bob Dole here, but Councilman Schaffner said his biggest concern is density, and it plays a major role in that area. And I still feel the same way about that. I don't necessarily agree with previous councils who changed the zoning, especially for the Abbey Moore area. And so the zoning that is in place, I think, is appropriate for that property. I am willing to go down, and I think I said this in the last meeting, it's not reflected in the minutes, but I would compromise to R12. But anything lower than that, and you're just creating more traffic, more headaches, more, and again, I go back when this was brought to us last time, just the Bobcat Trophy Club Drive area. We've had 4 or 5 different, I think even Tignall and Perkins was the group that told us about traffic problems in that area, gave us 4 or 5 different scenarios of a roundabout, of traffic lights, leaving it like it is, things of that nature. Just because we have so much traffic that comes through that pain point and in that area, and adding more to that, I know it doesn't seem like a lot to you, but for us who sit on council and have to listen to the problems and try to figure out solutions, To me, it makes no sense to add more density. I'd much rather, have something, a nice product that either conforms to the zoning that is in place, or again, I probably would entertain, an R12 type situation. I do appreciate we're going to have further on down the agenda cases where they actually conform to the zoning that is in place, which is R12. And so that's why I think in this situation, I would prefer R15, but I certainly would entertain R12. But anything lower than that, and I'm not really in favor of. Yeah, sure. I'm not sure I can answer it, but.
Thank you, Councilman Schaffner. If we were, Chairman Rowe is correct. First of all, I want to say he was actually exactly spot on with the P&Z. So the conversation was discussed about, two of the commissioners were saying, well, and maybe they were on the same path as what you were saying, because they were suggesting, have you looked at doing maybe 22 to 24 lots? And I said, well, not under R15. I mean, I couldn't do it. But I did say, and I asked for a table to see if I could. And my builder was here at that meeting, and the motion failed. I did ask. Now, I would ask if the council might be willing to consider letting me do maybe table to it in the next meeting with R12. If I were to come back, I would be happy to do the work. I just didn't get the chance.
Yeah, and
from P&Z.
I will say that I kind of disagree earlier when you said that the town wasn't in favor of bringing that back. We couldn't bring that back because it was done with prejudice. It was not done without prejudice. If there is a denial tonight, I was going to introduce that without prejudice so that you could bring something back. So either way, whether we table it or whether we deny it, I will, ask the council to do that without prejudice.
I appreciate that. And the one thing I would ask too, and maybe this is for staff, would R12 be allowed the same setbacks that we have? I mean, basically making 12,000 square foot lots, but have the same setbacks, because I'm constrained by the shape of the property. But if I had 12,000 square foot lots, my biggest problem too with R15 is because I had a 35-foot front and a 25-foot rear, but if I could keep the setbacks the same, provided I'm not asking for too many variances or anything, but have a R12, that would matter from an efficiency standpoint.
What are the setbacks? What did you go by? Because this is a PD, obviously you can do whatever, but what were they?
We conform to the R10 district. Is it the same setbacks as R12? Is R12 and R10 the same? That's really my question. We didn't have, we're conforming with R10. If they're the same, I would love the chance to see if I could do it.
So they can go back to P&Z for R12.
Right. So I would recommend that either we table it or we deny without prejudice, so that he can go back. If we just do a flat denial, he has to wait. Anybody who wants to
Has to wait a year.
to develop anything on that property has to wait a year. And so I would, if we do anything, if we deny the motion tonight or deny the item, I would do it without prejudice.
From a timing standpoint, for my landowners, I just want to make sure, because they'll ask me if I ask the question of council. If there is a timing difference, I would greatly appreciate the one that's the shortest for them.
That would be the one without the year wait.
A question, but if we go back, you mentioned, Mayor, going back to P&Z, is that, then would that be a faster date schedule than?
The table would probably be faster. I think if you deny it outright, you would have to go right. Oh, it is? Okay.
Start the process because there's so many changes, it might not be the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
either way, P&Z has already turned this down, so it would have to go back to P&Z for another vote if we send it down. So he'd have to start the process over.
So I'll make a motion to deny without prejudice.
I'll second.
I had a couple of things, I think. A motion by Councilman Schaffner and a second by Councilman Sheridan. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're down to 18, which means we're also doing 10 and 11. So item 10.
Mayor, were you going to go back
I know.
to 15?
So unfortunately, Pasta Za is busy. I guess fortunately for them, so super happy. They're too busy to come talk to us this evening. I'm kind of sad I'm not going to get my pizza,
did.
but that's okay. We'll invite them back another night to speak with us, and maybe next month for National Pizza Month. So, okay, so item 10?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item 10, take appropriate action regarding a request for a preliminary plat for lots 1, 10, et cetera. Item 10. I do have people signed up to speak on this item. Mr. Timothy Hand. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Hmm? What was
Yes,
that? Yes.
that's correct. It's not, no, you're fine. It's not a public hearing.
No,
You didn't
it's
open a
not.
public hearing. You're fine. Yes, ma'am.
So he can speak? I'm sorry, Mr. Hand. You can speak. I'm correct, you can come speak to us. So come to the podium and speak to item 10? Is that what you?
I can?
Yes. They're trying to throw me off tonight, I think.
Well, me too.
It's kind of working. That's okay. Welcome, name and address, and you can speak to item 10, please.
Thank you. Timothy Hand, 2886 Redfern. I guess I just wanted to start. I'll tell you, I moved here about 7 years ago, and we love living in Trophy Club. And one of those reasons is because of the rules that we have in place to keep us safe. And as you mentioned earlier, we are one of the safest places to live. And so when I was looking at these oil and gas properties that the plats are being proposed for, I noticed that in our ordinance under section 14.03037I, it states that no structures shall be built over an abandoned well. And we don't have any houses being built over it, but we are building a road and a cul-de-sac. And generally, when you think of a road, you don't think of it as a structure because you know it doesn't have walls. But it is built and it is constructed. And under 2015, the 2015 International Building Code, which I believe the town has adopted as its building code, it states the definition of a structure to be that which is built or constructed. And if you drive down the highway, you see public roads with construction signs all the time. So a public road is most definitely constructed and it's built. So it falls under the definition of a structure. The town ordinance under zoning also further defines it as that which is built, erected, or constructed, and then it goes on to define it as also include parking lots. Well, a road and a cul-de-sac aren't a parking lot for sure, but a cul-de-sac is often parked on. It's intended to be parked on similarly, and we know that it is built of similar materials. It's concrete, rebar, and different rocks. So it's constructed of the same nature. So it almost goes to say that a road and a cul-de-sac are also a structure. And so I oppose these proposed plats because I believe it does not fall within our ordinance under 14.03.037I. So that's the comment I had for you guys, but and wanted you to consider opposing because of that. But I also wanted to just ask if I don't know if it's to you or to the developer, but what the status of an environmental review is on this property, and kind of where we stand and what phase we're in.
Okay, Mr. Cox, will you answer that?
We wouldn't have that at this point.
Not at this stage? Okay.
Okay, and then I guess the one other question was, in the cul-de-sac, being that we're taking a variance for the fire hydrants because it exceeds the 600-foot rule. Does the fire department have enough space to turn their vehicles around in the cul-de-sac and, effectively do their job?
Chief, sir.
Chief Taylor? So yes, it does meet that requirement. Okay.
I believe it's 50-foot radius is the actual plat radius.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you get your questions answered, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you again on the next item.
Just to clarify, for the 5, all were 40 or more, so this particular one was 50. Not to
Okay.
confuse the issue, but it does meet those standards.
All right. Councilman Schaffner? Are you still-
No, that
I
was-
can't clear my iPad,
Oh,
sir, so if you can clear.
Sorry about that.
Councilman Sheridan, did you want to speak, or?
Yes, I would. First, let me just start that in our ordinances, under preliminary plats, little e, number 20, it says such additional terms and conditions, including design standards, as the Planning and Zoning Commission in the town deem necessary. That's why that's what I'm considering as I comment on this plat of Hawthorne Estates. But to follow up on one of the questions, in the process, will there be an environmental review? Because one of my questions is to the applicant is, has a phase 1 been done? But you mentioned a comment that there may be something later on in our process.
A phase 1 is typically the federal government,
No.
the EPA, or it's also.
Well, a phase 1 is typically is an environmental review that's typically in a commercial transaction, and many of the banks will require one before they'll let it. But that's just a question.
It's triggered at the sale or financing.
Right.
And that's not really
Right.
a role, we don't really have authority, and we're not in that role.
And
Okay.
this is for
But-
preliminary plat discussion, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, what was the next thing, Dennis?
Well, is there an environmental review in somewhere in our process?
The Railroad Commission has, with regard to the gas wells, the Railroad Commission has jurisdiction over it. So they've capped it and certified it in accordance with the Railroad Commission rules. So we can apply the ordinance, but don't have the ability to apply further environmental reviews.
Okay. So in Hawthorne Estates, I would like to make a motion that it be approved subject to specifically identifying the exact location of each capped wellhead on the plat, and that in the notes, there be a note added that no capped wellhead is to be on a residential lot. And I'll open that as a motion for waiting a second.
A motion by Councilman Sheridan, do I have a second?
Can you repeat the motion? Just,
I make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat with 2 conditions. One is specifically on the final plat, specifically identify the exact location of each capped wellhead. And on the final plat, add a note, no capped wellhead is to be on a residential lot.
I'll second that. So, I went back and looked, we approved, back in May of 2021, the first
Preliminary plat.
gas, yeah.
Yes.
And I think he made the same motion, if I'm not mistaken. It said to identify that on the plat.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
I didn't add that part about the no, not on a residential lot, but I did put on a condition
Yeah,
to identify it specifically.
yeah. So I'm good with that. It was on the other as well.
Mayor Pro Tem Lamont?
Does that apply to the right-of-way?
And what right-of-way is town land?
So it's exclusive of the right-of-way.
No, I didn't know. They can have it in, a right-of-way is not on a residential lot.
That's what I'm saying. It's because I think a
Correct.
resident would think if there's a well cap there, that's their
Technically, it's
property.
it belongs
On
to
the right
the
of way,
homeowner.
technically the resident owns the lot.
That's
and we
correct.
have use of the right of way.
Yeah, but the resident doesn't own it. The resident has to maintain it, but they don't own it.
That's correct. I'll stick with what I said. I understand what your comment is.
I think that might be an issue when we see exactly what.
But in the right-of-way goes all sorts of utilities, goes all sorts of, other town issues, and the town has the right to tear it up, and, so let me just leave it on the residential lot.
Any more discussion?
We could amend the motion to say private residential lot, so that it's specific private. You know what I'm saying? So that you're only getting into private property at that point.
I like that.
Yeah, so I'll amend the motion to include the words, private residential lot.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Councilman Schaffner and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont
To amend.
to amend the original motion.
Good
Any
enough.
more discussion? Good. All in favor? Unanimous? Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Now we go to the main motion.
Main motion.
Oh, now we go to
The main
Main
motion.
motion.
the main motion by Councilman Sheridan and seconded
Seconded
by Councilman Schaffner
As amended.
as amended. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 11. Take appropriate action regarding request for preliminary plat for lots 1 through 4, et cetera. I have Mr. Timothy Hand to speak on this again, as with item 10, I believe.
I have the same comments for all the 10, 11, 18, 19, and 20.
Okay, they will be noted on
Okay.
each item.
Thank you,
Thank you so
yes.
much for speaking this evening.
Yep,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a motion? Do you have a motion for 11?
Yeah, Dennis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to make the same motion and the same comments. I'm very, very concerned over the environmental aspect of this. One of the things that I want to just make a comment, because to all the citizens, I hear them, and thank you for the letters that we've received and everything else. But these tracks are going to get built, and they're going to be homes. That's a given. That's the right of the owner. And all we want to do is make sure we have good transparency and some common sense to the development. The well cap, the heads are capped, and they're capped to the Railroad Commission approval and has inspected it. Can I say that our town ordinance says that they should have been done at 10 feet? They could have been done at 10 feet. They were not. They were done at 3 feet. So after development, since they've submitted preliminary engineering, do we know the depth of the well heads in the development? So, for example, right now the plugging report says 3 feet. Okay. As I go out and I look through the gate at at all of them, really, the wellheads are identified by a sign. I'm just guessing that that's the sign, but there's.
I think Mr. Carroll's going to answer your question for
yeah.
you.
Councilman Sheridan, no, to be exact, we don't know the exact depth of those wellheads yet. But as you stated in your preliminary plat, when you're asking for the exact location, we will include depth as part of that exact location to ensure we will know what that depth is. It may be 3 feet, it may be 10 feet. We have confirmation from the railroad that they have actually capped it to their standards, but to my knowledge, we don't have anything that says anything different than that.
Okay.
So
Well,
at
I
the
just want to
point,
make sure it's public knowledge that they're not to our town standards. But the other thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, the Railroad Commission did ask that we don't touch them.
that is correct. We asked the Railroad Commission, so that if they are at 3 foot depth and we wanted to cut them down to 10 foot, the Railroad Commission said that is not in our best interest.
And the other thing I want to say is that our staff that we currently have that's working this issue were not around when that happened.
That's correct.
So there's nobody here. So no matter how much I growl, okay, it's not personal, Matt, or David, or Wade, or Mayor. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I will make a motion to approve with the same criteria, conditions, specifically identify the exact location of each cap well on the plat, on the final plat, and add a note on the final plat that no capped wellhead will be in a private residential lot. Did I get that correct, Bill?
Yeah,
Okay.
second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Sheridan, a second by Councilman Schaffner. Any discussion? I do just want to make sure we're clear on this. So the plats presented meet the minimum standards for the approval of preliminary plat, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And Mr. Dodd, that puts council in a position of,
Ministerial duty.
okay, I just want to make that clear, that if these plans meet the requirements, it is our ministerial duty to approve.
And the conditions were posted under the section that Councilman Sheridan cited earlier that allows you to put conditions on the direct.
Okay. Councilman Schaffner, did you?
Yeah, let me ask a question. So when we have that 10-foot, which wasn't done to 10-foot, but it is done to 3-foot, I would assume that they have to keep that 3-foot?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
well, yes.
yeah, at least,
Well, you don't want it
yeah,
plus 6 inches.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir. When we look at the grading plan, that's something that we'll have to address, right? So if they come in and they shave off 2 feet and that wellhead's only a foot deep, then we'll have to address that at that time.
Yeah, and I will say to Dennis, I actually was around when the,
I was talking about, I'm trying to be nice to staff.
I know, but I
You didn't apologize.
I was the Dennis Sheridan back then because I wanted to see all of these forms, you know, what is it, W3, whatever that they have to submit. And it's not that they just went down 3 foot. They went down 12,000 or whatever. I think there's like 4 or 5 different places.
4 different stratus that they have
Right,
to
where
do.
they had
Yes,
to
sir.
concrete these things and everything. So I was concerned, you know, as Dennis, because I knew eventually that it would get developed. I didn't think it would be this soon. I thought it would be, you know, 10 or 15 years and nobody would be around to remember, you know, what went on. But anyway, yeah, so that answers my questions on the 3-foot. Thanks.
Okay, time for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 18.
You're up, Dennis.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave myself up there.
Sorry, can you clear your iPads, please? Item 18, take appropriate action regarding request for a preliminary plat for lots 1 through 10, et cetera, PP-21-002. And Mr. Jones.
I do have some slides for these. The next 3 all have a variance request associated with them with regard to the length of the cul-de-sac. So that's why they're on your regular agenda and not on the consent agenda. So the Willow Estates is a R12 zoning district. It's just north of Morgan Lane with access shown off of Highland Court using the existing access easement. So the one aspect of this where they're having to request a variance is that for fire safety purposes, there's a 600-foot limit on the length of a cul-de-sac as measured from the center line of the intersecting street. The applicant has agreed to put in additional fire hydrants so that there's not a hose lay issue where the firefighters can't get to every home on the cul-de-sac. So with that condition, staff is recommending approval of this preliminary plat for Willow Estates. Again, it's zoned R12. They do meet all the standards of R12 with that one exception.
Make a motion?
Okay, we have some speakers. And Mr. Hand, we do have your notes from your earlier item, and we have considered. Would you like to speak again on item 18? Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Timothy Hand, 2886 Redfern. I'll just add one thing to my prior notes is that, because I know I didn't mention it, but my concern with the structure part about it is we usually envision structures above us. But as the structure relates to the capped wells, this structure is above the capped wells. And it doesn't happen often, and the Railroad Commission does a good job, but there has been studies that show that wells, capped wells can leak, and they do leak. some percentage of the time. So if, my concern is if any of these, and by the way, on these 5 different lots, there's roughly 17, what I calculated just from looking at the dots on the plat, it looked like there were 17 different wellheads on each of these. If these leak, then it'll be, you know, and there's some void that's, you know, dirt moves around and creates a void underneath the concrete. We all know concrete cracks. If there was a crack, somebody throws a cigarette butt, it could cause a problem, you know, type of thing. I don't know. It may be a stretch, but at the same time, that is my concern, that it is a structure that would be holding in any gas that may leak from these wells. So I just wanted to clarify that was really where my concern is, but I also first wanted to point out that what I saw in an ordinance.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Charles Little?
Hello, Charles Little, 2621 Morgan Lane. Mayors, council, neighbors. Wanted to thank Mr. Hand. I agree with most everything he said there. I'm kind of shocked. If Mr. Adams was here, I would say it is about legacy. It is about density, and we rejected the earlier proposal for density, but then we agree to do this one. I'm just a little concerned about that. And the chief, with respect, we are assuming when we have this explosion that there is even going to be a street there to do his 40-foot radius. And I'll give some examples, Chief, in a minute, why that's a concern. So real quick, my wife told me not to embarrass her, so if anybody's taking notes, mark me down as Bob.
Okay, Bob.
And this is literally my backyard. We're not talking about ranch back 40. We're talking backyard. One of the great things about TC is the green belts. I think it makes this place special. I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, and pardon me. And I was an infantryman. I brought all my guys home. That's Pastor's still here. That's 99% God, 1% because I wanted to get back to the piney woods of Texas. Those trees are important. But you know what? When's enough enough? I mean, we're building. We're getting rid of all these trees. Can I ask a question real quick? Beck Properties. I know it's an LLC, substantially changed. Is it the same Beck Properties from the Trophy Lake that's proposing this?
Yes.
Same, okay. So that, I mean, with all that being said, that's another thing that's quite shocking that we would try to partner with that. I mean, 5 years we fought with him not to do multifamily. The people of Trophy Club didn't want that. He built anyways. And now he's trying to build 10 more houses. I mean, hasn't Beck done enough to Trophy Club? I mean, we got the multifamily. I'll move on. I know that that's it's a settled issue. I do think it's material, though. He did sue our mayor for plat.
Let's please stay to topic, please.
Okay, well, it's relevant.
Thank you.
Okay, so as I'll move on. As I look at this letter from Matt Cox, and I know this is preliminary, but I don't see one thing in here that tells us what this does for Trophy Club. I see Matt here, Director of Community Development. I see Beck, but I don't see, and I get that it's preliminary, but I don't see anything that says what this does for the people of Trophy Club. I did a Zillow search. There's 10 houses available. Those 10 people could be COVID. They could be losing their house. 10 people buy those houses. If we do need to build, Mr. Adams had a great proposal. Maybe he does some changes. That gets somebody to build not on some oil wells, and we'll gas wells rather. Let's talk about those. You know, just one last point about TC. I mean, we have everything. We're surrounded by Keller, South Lake, Dallas, Fort Worth, Roanoke, unique dining capital of the world. I personally I've never heard a citizen say that there's not something we can get to in 5-10 minutes. Do we need to keep building? It is about density and legacy, as I was saying. But moving to safety, as the chief and Mr. Land referred to, and frankly, Councilman Sheridan, I really appreciate your EPA comments, but I was quite frankly a little shocked on your comments that they were going to be built. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can do. We can do easements back 20 feet. We can make it so complicated. It's important because that's a safety issue. And let me tell you why. I'll give you some, and I don't think it was hyperbole, Mr. Hand, which you were, the safety issues that you made. But, you know, right now in the federal level, President Biden, they're discussing gas wells specific. So we don't know what they're going to do. So they could say no buildings. I mean, and I respect that you wanted to do an EPA as part of the town process. I quite frankly, I'm shocked we're not doing it for health reasons alone. But Forbes and the EPA, they were talking about methane has 4 times the warming power of carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. Now, I recycle those blue boxes like you guys probably do. I'm no environmentalist, but I know this much. The Colorado Cancer Center just did a very alarming study. And we talked about breast cancer awareness, and we had an honor of a survivor with us today. But in that study, there is an alarming correlation of childhood hematologic cancers, and those are particularly brutal, and benzene. Now, in any case of those leaks or the construction, those benzenes can get in the air. We all remember the Obama administration, the EPA, they were going to regulate dust on construction. Well, and I completely disagree. I think it's ludicrous. However, now I'm in that position, I start thinking about our babies and that dust and that benzene and this correlative study here. No point. There's no point. The risk does not outweigh the benefits. And I have no doubt that Beck will come in and do a professional job at the minimums of the law and follow get an EPA study, and it'll say it's great.
Mr. Little, with all due respect, we do have a 4-minute, and
Okay.
you've been going for 6.
Okay.
I just want to just so you're aware,
Yes.
please.
Okay, thank you. That's it. You get the gist.
I do.
It's
We
dangerous.
We hear you. We hear you.
We care about our kids and Trophy Club, and I just want to absolve Beck that I'm sure they do a professional job, but I know there is no construction risk if there's no construction, and I don't think the risk the benefits outweigh the risk.
Okay. And thank you for your service, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else for item 18?
Got your motion right now.
No, you make the motion, but I got the comments.
Okay.
Well, you got to make a comment first?
Yeah, I'd like to have comments first.
Any comments for
Yeah,
18?
please. Charles, thank you. Appreciate your service. Should have gone airborne, though. Can we identify the structure issue? Can we clarify the legal definition and what we're going under as far as what's been brought up? As far as our structure, we have a definition of structure in our platting regulations, our zoning regulations, and our building code. So
I'll let David speak to this in just a
please do.
second, but I'd like David Jones to speak to this. He had a good catch on why the definitions differ in different areas of our zoning. So David, would you mind?
I think that it needs to be open for the public citizens that have said something.
Of course, that's fine.
As it relates to the subdivision ordinance having its own definition and the zoning ordinance having its own definition for a structure, I think we have to look at what we're reviewing on the plat under. We don't review it under the zoning. It's a subdivision act. So you're dividing property. So in this case, we would look at the definition under that ordinance, which is very similar to the zoning, but it doesn't include the provision for the parking lot, which probably relates to lot coverage and provision of open space. So in the subdivision ordinance, it doesn't have that part about the parking lot. It does mention something that is built, something that's built up, which I think is significant, that it's something that's vertical. So it doesn't necessarily have to have 4 walls and a roof. It might be a retaining wall, but it's something that's built up from the ground. So typically that doesn't refer to a street or flat work unless specified, as in the case of the parking lot. But again, that's in the zoning ordinance. So we wouldn't look at that when we'd look at subdivision.
Mr. Carroll, does this plat present to meet the minimum requirements and standards?
Yes, ma'am. Other than the variance for 600 feet cul-de-sac, cul-de-sac past 600 feet, it does. Yes,
Mr. Dodd, what position does this put council in?
Put you in a ministerial duty, look at everything.
So,
Thank you.
let me just speak to that. So those are the four, and I've always said this, I hate
I
ministerial
know
duty.
you do, but I just want to
So
make sure we're
ministerial
aware of
duty
that.
basically says that if he meets zoning, we have to approve. The first applicant didn't meet zoning, and that's why we were able to deny. So it's, I hate it, but it's, our hands are tied, ministerial duty.
Can I continue?
Sure.
Just, what's the length of the cul-de-sac from, as far as the variance being requested?
We don't have an exact measurement. I mean, the applicant may be aware of what the exact measurement is, but it is over 600 feet. I believe all three of the ones that are requesting a variance are under 1,000. I don't
Right.
have the exact measurement.
Okay, and comment to what Charles Little had made a comment on. On the P&Z report, it did talk about plug gas wells were going to be located underneath the proposed road, but that was not on the council report. I'll make a motion that, no, I don't want to make a motion. I'll leave it to somebody else.
Mayor Pro Tem Lott.
Okay, try and read this. Make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for lots 110, Block A, the Willow Estates at Trophy Club, consisting of 4.208 acres out of the Rosalinda Allen Survey, abstract number 17, located west of Highland Court, Trophy Club, Texas, and have the exact location of each capped wellhead on the final plat and not allowed on private residential property. I think I got that right.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lott and a second by Councilman Monger. All in favor? Any opposed? 4-1, motion carries. Item 19, PP-21-003. Mr. Jones.
It's a preliminary plat for what's being called the Oak Estates. Key difference between this one and the last one is that it's a R15 zoning rather than R12, but similarly, this plat does meet all the standards with the exception of the 600-foot cul-de-sac length. So same recommendation by staff, same concession by the applicant to install additional fire hydrants at the final plat phase.
Okay. Mr. Hand?
I have the same comments on this one, except this is the one I live by. So
Okay.
if you're going to reject one, this is it.
Duly noted, duly noted. And Mr. Jonathan Harris.
Good evening, guys. I know we're all ready to get to the Cowboy game. So Jonathan Harris, 2877 Milson's Point. So as you look at that original cul-de-sac that's there, I am the lot closest to the development. The biggest issue that I have right now, I can show the mouse, so even better. Yeah, look at that. Okay. Yep. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'd like to bring attention to lot 635111. That's also known as lot 100X. That is owned by the Highlands of Trophy Club Neighborhood Association. There is nothing that shows they have right of access, that they have surveyed that. I have opened up title requests at Independence Title in Roanoke. I'm a licensed real estate agent, so I do that pretty frequently. I've talked to the HOA. They are under no impression that Beck has access to their property. The access they used to have ran right through the middle of my house, which they capped off when they sold all that land to the developer for the Highlands. So while they're looking to plat this, I just ask you to consider, we don't know that they have access to this land. They are blocked on all other sides to the dog park lands and to the other houses. There is no other entrance other than lot 100X, which they do not and did not and were not able to at the P&Z Commission to show they have access to. So I'd like to at least look at tabling this one until we can even verify that they have access to build anything on this lot. So that's the first piece I would like to bring up.
Okay.
Secondly, you see where the blue line is on that lot 63511, that butts up to my property. If you look at their plat, the house that is closest to that, the fence line is going to run all the way up to that lot. That will create a blind spot, and you can't see. I don't know if I can close this because I don't think it's live. Oh, no, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Can you get me back, Wade? Sorry. You can't see it, but where the DET, the detailed word is, that's my driveway coming out of there. When they built that fence there, there's a double blind spot for children. So you can see coming down the main road on Milson's Point where those two trucks are heading in, there will be a fence there now and a fence on mine. When I back out of my driveway, I will not be able to see children running around that cul-de-sac coming out of that neighborhood. It's a danger. So that piece of the plat, where they're wanting to put a piece of property, is creating a blind spot where a child is going to get run over very easily. And so I'm very concerned about that piece of it. And then we've talked about all the other stuff. I don't need to go into the other two gentlemen's things. But I would ask Chief Taylor. Chief Taylor. We live as far back in Trophy Club as we can get. How long would you say it takes you to get to me and my house is on fire? Okay. Okay. And with 3 cul-de-sacs to get the ones in the back of this, probably add another minute or two, right, to get back up in there and maneuver that with a big truck, especially if there's cars in the street that would interfere with that 50-foot radius they've got. And if there's 3 or 4 cars on each side of the street, would you still be able to maneuver that? Okay.
Thank you, Chief Taylor.
I have a couple more.
Okay.
Just want to get you on recording, Chief.
Absolutely. Good questions. The widths of this street here is plenty to accommodate our fire apparatus, as well as if you had cars in the street. We need a minimum of 26. These are 30. That gives us plenty of room coming through there. Now, with the cul-de-sacs, and what we will ask as we move forward are fire hydrants in each one of those new cul-de-sacs. What that's going to allow us to do also, when you have extreme depth in excess of 600 feet and you go to a cul-de-sac, one of the reasons they have that in there is so after a fire, getting out of that area, it's very difficult to back a piece of fire apparatus that far. It's a timely maneuver to do that. However, the way this particular one is built with the 2 cul-de-sacs, with the 50-foot radius minimum, that gives us the ability to turn around at each of those cul-de-sacs. So you wouldn't theoretically, even though that distance from that first street is over 600, we would have quicker access to be able to turn around and go the other direction. So there are some life safety standards, such as the added hydrants that we would put in place here. It wouldn't provide any length of response in that area. But if I can assure you, life safety is a premium with us. So we'll look at that and things that, if there is a variance, life safety is something we won't budge on. And so if the developer's not willing to look at those and address those, we don't sign off on it. Basically, is how that works. So, absolutely, and I get it. And I'm the farthest away on the east side up north, and I get it absolutely. So we take pride in our ability to respond and respond quickly. But in that area, we'll look at that life safety just like we do with every other development, because your life is as precious to you, to me, as my wife's is at my house. So I'm going to look at it the same way every time.
Chief Taylor, at what point in the process do we look at fire hydrants and the safety aspect of this?
At this point, these are preliminary plats. So if we were to move forward from this point on, that's when we get to the more detailed plats. At that point is when we have serious discussions about referring to all the departments that have an issue with the development, whether it be streets, whether it be utilities, whether it be the fire department, police department. So we get into those detailed discussions at that point. And that's when I get to come to the table with my fire marshal, the deputy chief, and we get to show the life safety concerns that we have. We've done them on all the development. So I've been here almost a year and a half now. So very adamant about that. And we make it very clear what our expectations are, and we will hold them accountable. However, if they don't choose to meet those expectations, I will not sign off on this fire chief.
Thank you, Chief Taylor. Mr. Harris,
Yeah.
would you like to continue, please?
Thank you.
I'll try and keep keep it to my last few seconds. So, all right, the other piece to that, and it really kind of relates to him too, is we have to look at. So we talked about how deep these wellheads are buried. Listen, I'm born and raised in Texas. These things are safe. You know, I'm not worried about it. I built my house next to a gas well, right? I'm not scared of that piece. But when we start running water lines and electrical lines under there, that's structures going underneath the ground that have to go through there. So we'll have to look at that. But in lieu of the fence, and the bigger piece to me is the lot 100X 635111. I do not believe they have access to this land. I'm waiting on that to come back. I hope to have it this week. I'd hope to have it by tonight, but it takes time to run these titles as the developers have changed hands a couple of times from Beck to One to the Highlands and so forth. And so everything I can see on the county's website and everything I've researched, and including Beck at P&Z 2 weeks ago, they can't prove they have access to that lot. And I've requested to the HOA that we, if they don't have access, that we plant trees there and make that a nice little green space on 635111. And this will all be for nothing. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hess.
So I have a question, not of our attorney. I would assume that if we have a piece of property that is landlocked, that they have to give access.
And that's usually an issue between the property owners nearby. The town's not really in it, but yes, and it could be even a prescriptive easement that they've already gotten or something like that. And that's between the two property owners.
Okay, thanks.
You can't block somebody out from the front.
Right.
That means the town could give the parkland for them to have a road in. You guys can block them.
I know I sound like a broken record. Mr. Carroll, these plats presented meet the minimum standards for the presentation and approval of preliminary plats.
Yes, ma'am, as the other two plats, this is the same. So they meet all of our minimum standards with the exception of the 600-foot depth.
Mr. Dodd, what does this mean for council?
Consider ministerial duty.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Yes. Make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for lots 19, Block A, the Oak Estates at Trophy Club, consisting of 4.339 acres out of the Thomas J. Allen Survey, abstract number 7, located west of Milson's Point Drive, Trophy Club, Texas, and have the exact location of each capped wellhead on the final plat and not allowed on private residential property.
Do I have a second?
Second.
KV, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilman Schaffner. All in favor? Any opposed? 4-1, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 20, Mr. Jones, Groundhog Day.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the final preliminary plat before you this evening. This is the Cypress Estates. So it is an R12 zoning district. Similar situation, cul-de-sac that exceeds 600 feet. Access being shown through another property. And just to speak to that a little bit, at the preliminary plat phase, what we're looking at is there the potential for adequate facilities to serve the property. So one of those is street access. So if they can show conceptually how they would achieve street access in accordance with the town subdivision ordinance, then the preliminary plat is deemed to comply. The final plat phase, that's when they'll have to come to us and show that they have right of access or that they have title to the property that they're getting access from. Otherwise, they can't dedicate it to the town for a public street. So at this phase, the plat, Cypress Estates, does comply with the town subdivision ordinance with the exception of the 600-foot cul-de-sac. To speak to Mr. Sheridan's comment about why the wording changed on the staff report, and looking at the Railroad Commission's certification of the gas wells, we did find a couple that looked like they were potentially outside the right-of-way. So that's why we took that off the staff report for the town council review.
Thank you for addressing that.
Yes, sir. But again, as it relates to the subdivision ordinance, it does comply.
Thank you. Mr. Hand. Duly noted. Thank you for sticking it out. That's awesome.
Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Anytime.
David, before I make a motion, I just want to clarify something. I'm trying not to put you on the spot, but we've had this before, ministerial duties.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a requirement, an obligation to adhere to that? And is there any issues if we don't?
Ministerial duty is the only situation in municipal law where y'all would be individually liable.
Say again?
That's the only situation in municipal law where the council members would be individually liable.
So we could be sued,
Individually, if you do not follow your
and the
ministerial.
town wouldn't protect us.
Well, that's a question for another place.
Well,
I
okay.
think I can guarantee we can correct 4 of the 5, but
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for lots 110, Block A, the Cypress Estates at Trophy Club, consisting of 3.581 acres out of the Richard W. Allen Survey, abstract number 5, located south of Nottingham Drive at Annandale Drive, Trophy Club, Texas, and have the exact location of each cap wellhead on the final plat and not allowed on private residential property.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lamont and a second by Councilman Munger. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 4-1, motion carries.
You can be sued, not me.
Well, we got through that. Thank you,
I have the right
everyone.
to make a decision on a variance.
And thank you to our residents who came to speak this evening. We do appreciate your involvement in our community. Item 21, presentation by T. Neal Perkins on drainage project located at Indian Creek Drive. Mr. Carroll.
Yes, ma'am. So we are excited that we are into our next phase of this Indian Creek project. So it's taken us a while, but we've obtained all the property, the additional easement that we needed to get done, that we needed to obtain in order to get the project rolling. And I'd like to invite Teagnall and Perkins, Tom, and Philip to come on up and talk to us about where we are in the project and kind of what our next steps and timelines would look like. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Know we've done this before, but I know some of you, and like Dennis, weren't here before when we've done that. So if I go too quick, I know you'll stop me. So we did this presentation last year. It was a little more detailed about the study and what we found in the study. And of course, anyone who's familiar with this project understands that we've had some homes that have been flooded. If it continued to rain like it has in the past in a 100-year event, that would occur again. So in this drainage area map that we're showing here, this was a study that we did when we went in to determine how much drainage is coming into the low point of the area and what's actually happening. And so just to get your bearings in here, this is Indian Creek right here, and then here's Harmony Park. And so the red area is the entire drainage area that comes in here to the low point where there's some curb inlets in there. And so the system downstream that's existing today is not large enough to carry all of that. And so with this project, what we're talking about doing is, when you look at this, here is Indian Creek. And when we did Indian Creek, as we've explained before, with that new street, we went in and put the box culvert and sized it for that 100-year storm event. So then later on, when the town had the funds, which is now, we could go ahead and extend this box culvert downstream. And so you can see where we're coming all the way through the side yards of these houses, all the way over here to the golf course, which is where the drainage is going now. It just means it gets into the pipe, and then after a certain amount in the pipe, then it's just overland and it's flooding the homes. So the idea is to get it all underground. So this project, as we have worked with Wade and his team, is we're now at the point, and this being an update for you, is we're getting ready to put this out to bid. And with the schedule, so we just kind of want to go through this, and I've got the model stuff in here if you want me to go through that, and I can go back into that if you want to look at that. But with the project schedule that we've got, we're looking to put this out to bid there on October the 3rd, and then we'll go ahead and open bids on the 26th of October. We'll evaluate those, make a recommendation, and then come back to council on hopefully with a lowest qualified bidder in November the 8th. and then try to go ahead and with the idea of getting this under construction, which we have it starting construction after Thanksgiving. When you look at a drainage project like this, and and in this schedule we've estimated it to be about 6 months. The contractors will bid it, and so they'll determine about how long that takes. 6 months, it's kind of like pick your poison. When do you start something like this? And we talked about, should we delay it a little bit, get through the holidays? The concern is if we come around to the next spring cycle and we don't have this thing going, or we don't get it complete and we delay it, then we'll have that regret. Well, I wish we'd have started as soon as we could. And that's what this
They're actually
represents.
going to have 3 more days because the 8th meeting has been moved to the 11th.
What's that, Mayor?
The meeting on November 8th has been moved to the November 11th.
Okay, very good.
An
Thank
extra
you.
3 days there.
Thank you. We will adjust that then in our schedule. So this is what this would look like. So with the idea of the project construction being complete sometime at the end of May, and then through punch lists and everything be done in June. So that's what this represents there. So Philip and I are here to answer any questions, technical or otherwise, for you, and see if you have anything you want to ask.
The other Philip.
I know, but-
Oh, sorry,
Did y'all-
that Philip,
did you
not
clear
this
them?
Philip.
'Cause I
But
can't-
Philip, you may have questions too.
Do you have
That's right.
No.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Everybody have a good evening. Appreciate
Good
it.
to see you again.
You too.
I thought he retired.
Item 22, future agenda items list. Mr. Carroll.
You have the current future agenda items list in your packets, and we're just seeing if there's any other additional agenda items that you'd like to address.
You attach the sales tax for the street maintenance. We should put that on there because that's got to be on the May election, and that's got to be done January, February, around that time. So let's, just so we, I'm not saying we would forget.
No,
But let's just put it on there.
That's fine. And also, speaking of that, I think that I'd like to talk to council about possibly extending Ccpd as well at that same election. People are going to be thinking that route as we're looking at the streets side of things. We could also bring Ccpd. It would be a little early. I think we have 2 more years left on Ccpd. But if you remember last time, we only extended it for 5 years. And I'd like to suggest that we extend that as long as possible. It's doing a very good job of rescuing us from having to spend a lot of funds out of that general fund for that. But we can bring that forward to council as an item.
Okay, anything else? All right, on to public comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on any matter. The council is not permitted to discuss or take action on any presentations made to the council. Presentations are limited to matters of which the council has authority. Speakers have up to 4 minutes or the time limit determined by the presiding officer. Each speaker must have submitted the request to speak by completing the speaker's form, or you may also email mayor&council@trophyclub.org. Do we have any other speakers this evening? Okay. All right, executive session. The time is 8:46. Thank you.
No, just smells.
Because I didn't touch all of them. I just, the ones I.
Oh, I did that. I'm sure I've eaten worse.
Time is 8:53. We're back in regular session. Item 24.
Are we, oh, we're on.
25.
I make a motion to,
24 is take corrective action on a executive session. I don't know. It's 25, item 25.
He's got his glasses on.
we ready? Man, it's small print.
Mayor Pro Tem Lamont.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-12, appointing board members to the following boards and commissions. A, Animal Shelter Advisory Board. Brooke Bemis, Chuck Hall, Karen Menzozine, Pamela Swan, Susan Estrom, and Brian Hall as the ACO. B, Building Standards Commission. Michael Briggs, Ben Brewster, Michael Branham, Terry Casterson, Jonathan Poole, Nick Sanders, and Robert Stevens. C, Crime Control and Prevention District. Leo Daniels, Chris McAllister, John Telsey, Christian Hazy, Mark Pertels, Frederick Lohman, Herth Williams. D, Economic Development Corporation 4B, Terry Addington, Michael Clark, Scott Harrow, Joseph Longo, Travis Inge, John Mann, Michael Thomas. E, Ethics Commission, Nicola Rada, alternate, Andrew Borgen, alternate, Kyle Black, Lori Branson, Mark Colosi, Dana Kaiser, James Isherwood, Richard Ryan. F, Parks and Recreation Board. I missed one?
Julie Strum on Evan.
Top of 2.
Oh, we can go back.
Julie Strom.
Which one?
Julie Strom.
Which committee?
Ethics.
Ethics. The one you just finished, ethics.
We didn't get to ethics.
You just did ethics.
You just
Nicola
did?
Rada
Okay. All right.
Just
Julie Strom. Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right. Parks and Recreation. Steve Banado, Wendy Bailey, Tom Bath, Robert Ferguson, Tracy Hunter, Dean Murray, and Patrick Shrine. G, Planning and Zoning Commission. Michael Brannon, Paul Jablonski, Jonathan Poole, Rylan Rowe, Reginald Barbarian, Michael Bridges, and Robert Stevens. TERS, Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1. Michael Clark, Scott Harrow, Travis Inge, Rebecca Barsdale as the Tarrant County Rep. I, Zoning Board and Adjustment. Craig Barnes, Mary Margaret Burnham, James Calloway, Steve Bodecker, Stephen Boham, Ben Brewster, Doug Harper, Terry Casterson, Nick Sanders.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Philip?
Philip?
All in favor?
Sorry.
It's unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you to everyone who came to visit with us and who applied, and we look forward to working with you, and thank you for stepping up to serve your community, and look forward to working with you this year. And thanks to Councilman Monger and Mayor Pro Tem Lamont for taking the time out of your busy schedules to personally meet with every single applicant that we had. And we had a record almost 50, I believe.
55.
55.
And 47 interviews.
And 47 interviews. So thank you all for that, and have a good night. We are adjourned at 8:58.